Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Bukhtagram and I am C++ developer. You have reached a collection of videos on developing a messenger based on Boost framework and ASIO SAP frameworks. And in this video, we will develop a client-server architecture based for messenger where the server will accept connections from the clients. Let me warn you that this video also my pet project, so I may make some silly mistakes. So I will always be open to criticism and your advices. I will not keep you long, and let's go! Before I started shooting, I built an initial CMake file structure with an automated search for all include directories via recursive function and search for CPP files. This was done for my own convenience so that I could add and compile new files without any problems or interfaces in CMake, which is very convenient in my opinion. However, when writing the variable function, I encourage the problem that CMake has all variables that are global but they behave rather strangely in the function. After a couple of hours of googling and desperate attempts to write that very function, I realized how to and scope works. It is needed to write value to the global variable so that those changes will be saved. But the problem was that our variables were global, so when the recursive function was running, the data was our region, and thus we have either an invalid path to the include directory or the list was empty. As a solution, CMake has a variable argn for each function which stores a list of additional parameters that were passed to the function. In this way, I made it possible for me to constantly remember the row name of the list where we should write all the paths. However, at the moment of mounting the clip, it seems to me I overdid it a bit, but I didn't touch it. As they say, it works, don't touch. Next, I decided to start with writing the client side of the application. I decided to use MVC architecture because it is flexible now for development and to me easy enough for testing. I also use the pattern factory method that is potentially in the future when writing unit tests, it was possible to create more classes for ease of testing and optimize the speed of compilation of the program and memory consumption. We will talk about this directly when the writing unit test, or I can create a separate video on the unit test. What do you think about it? Please write in the comments. I also forgot to connect Boost framework to the project, so now we will do it quickly through macros, which I created earlier. And let's add a pinch of magic. After connecting Boost and the necessary DLL files, I started running the client model. As far as I know, boost.asio is famous for its asynchronousness, but I wonder whether I should use mutexes from member of the model class that are objects of the Boost library. After some time of surfing the internet, I decided to create mutexes and then, in case of refactoring if necessary, just remove them. I also used mod pointers to protect myself in case of memory leak or access to already deleted memory cell, you never know. I decided to use a TCP socket since we are writing a messenger and the reliability of packet transmission is important to us. For those who don't know, TCP protocol is based on the principle of triple handshake. Let's say the client sends a packet with bytes from 0 to 449 and expects a response from the server. If the server does not provide a response, the client sends a packet with the same data again. If the server responds, the client sends a packet with bytes from 415 to 999. Then I started writing the controller. Well, first of all, that the client can send data to the server, it needs to connect to it. Therefore, we create the method connect to, where as argument we pass the IP address of the server or domain name, and the second argument we pass the port that listens to the server. Since I don't like using off-try cache block due to excessive resources consumption and loss of speed, for those like me, Boost provides passing an argument of type error code, which can be used to get information about error. For the convenience of processing, I created a private method, handle error. After fixing some bugs related to no pointer in the model, we have a working client that even successfully catches errors. And what kind of project can be without a working system, because they help a lot to track the behavior of the program during its runtime and is also one of the best way of debugging. While programming the client part, I realized that I really need a working system. That's why I decided to create a new folder for the worker which will potentially become a separate repository and the model of the project in the future. To avoid unnecessary work and not to reinvent the wheel, I decided to write a wrapper over the already ready worker from the boost. Since I have never used this part of library before, of course I thought how it works and what macros exists. After understanding what is what, I ran into a new problem, again related to my laziness. I wanted my logger to automatically output the name of class and methods without too much information in which we call the login macro. I found several ways to get information about the class and method, but those macros output unnecessary information for me like return values, namespaces, and incoming arguments. The only solution I could think is just cut the method and class name from there. To get the method name, I simply use the boost current function macro and implemented to get func name method, where I simply found the indexes of the beginning and end of the method name. But the class name was a bit more complicated. On Stack Overflow, I found a way to get the class name through the object and see function in the Mongo, but I used the boost wrapper. Why not? From there, I got the full information about the class and which namespace it is in. After counting the namespace and outputting. Through the declare_text macro, I created a variable that stores information about the class. Fuser through the login macro automatically outputs all the necessary information. And now it came to the server part of the application. Everything was not so smooth with it too. There were problems with connecting clients to the server, setting the endpoint for the acceptor, what was a cause of problems when we cannot to connect the clients to the server, and in general in some misunderstanding of how it should work, but now in order. The process is the same as when we creating a client. I wrote the implementation of model and controller classes using the pattern factoring method. The main difference between the server and the client is that the server doesn't need to create a socket to work. At least when working with the Boost framework, it creates it implicitly. All we need is an object of acceptor class to accept the client connection request. To start a server, we create a method run that will accept the port as an argument to the server we will listen to. And as strange it may sound, another argument will be the server address. Despite the fact that we have a server running at the echo address 127.0.0.1, we will still leave this argument because at the point in time I have never created a remote server and maybe there are some peculiarities. But it is unlikely that this is the case, so we will leave just in case. After the server starts, an endpoint is created, which will be used by our client acceptor. For correct work of acceptor, it is necessary to open acceptor on certain protocol on which our endpoint was created, then bind endpoint and start listening to our clients. If some of these items are not configured or start listening without endpoint, the program will fail. After that, you will be like me, scratching your head and thinking, why it doesn't work? After that, we use the main advantage of Boost, asynchronous programming. Asynchronously start accepting clients and bind a method that will be process the acceptance. Inside the method, we call accept connection method again, and thus we have the kind of perpetual motion. At the moment, our server can only connect and immediately disconnect clients, but in the next part we will create a full-fledged communication of clients through the server. Well, that is pretty much. The first part of the video is over. Stand by for part 2. Write in the comments what you like, didn't like, what mistakes I made, what I was right, what I was wrong about. I will greatly read your comments, will respond to them, listen to them, and adjust something in my project. We will develop together with you. And actually put likes, subscribe to my YouTube channel, links to Instagram, LinkedIn, GitHub, and repository will be in the description, playlist will be also there. Once again, thank you all for your time, for your attention. See you soon in the next video and comments. Goodbye.